Hello, Billy Ho here. Welcome to Billy Ho Sports. We're doing the FedEx playoffs, round number one, DraftKings show, and we are going out to Memphis to TPC Southwind. So basically, what we're going to do today is just kind of go over the initial look at the ownership from Rick Run Good's website, look at maybe some key stats, course fit types of players, DraftKings pricing, maybe we'll dabble into some lineup construction and whatnot. And I got some notes here that I'm going to try to convey that my own strategies might entail. So, without further ado, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody that's already done so. But if you haven't, hit that subscribe button, smash that like, leave me a comment, and let me know who you think's going to win this first round's playoff event. And let's get started. Okay, we're going to start off with the ownership projections. They just came out as promised. And this is early days, but I do think with the no cut event, and it is no cut event, it's a 70 player event. So everybody gets 4 rounds. So I think this is initial ownership might be a little bit more accurate than the first Tuesday ownership of a typical tournament. That's just kind of my opinion, because I think a lot of ownership is going to come up on these top 3 guys up here that are all 11K and above. Everybody's going to start with at least one of them. People are probably going to try to jam 2 in there, because with everybody getting 4 rounds, there are a handful of guys down low that in the 6K range, low 6K range, that you could put 2 in there and make you a lineup. So now my first note that I wrote down is just looking back the last couple of years of the FedEx Cup results, especially with St. Jude. It's not like the entire top 5 is going to be the in the 9K and above range. You're going to see guys down here. So don't get caught up in doubles and stacking too much on top. Like, oh man, if I play 2 6K guys, I can jam in, Xander, Cantlay, and Fleetwood, and easily in a lineup, and then Fitzy's my 4th man in, or something like that, which is a strategy, but not the strategy, because like I said, everyone gets 4 rounds, so I'll be looking for scoring and aggressive play, and also lowering my player pool somewhat. So looking over here, just really quick before we get into the actual players. This is the key stats page, but I just wanted to fill it with the adjusted fit for this week. And the adjusted fit over, I think it's the last 36 rounds, which is pretty fair. I mean, Brendan Todd, like I said in the preview video, it's surgical off the tee. Nobody more surgical off the tee than Brendan Todd. Ricky Fowler has improved his accuracy over the last few weeks. He got the win in Detroit. Russell Henley, always known as an accurate driver. Scotty Scheffler as well. Griot. Homa, though, interesting, actually, because Homa, one of his worst attributes is his driver. Like when his driver's wayward, he just can't seem to compete very well. So in the last 36 holes, he's gaining 2.5 strokes off the tee. That's very encouraging for an $8,800 golfer who is legit in the top 5 in the FedEx point standings. So if you look over here, if he's going to be 8 sub 10, I think he'll be no more than 12% when it's all said and done, because people are just going to be all in love with the Cowas and the Fleetwoods and the Fowlers and the Hattons and Cantlays and all these guys up here. And then they're going to have to skip, if they're stacking up here, and they're going to have to skip play the 9. They're going to have to skip this range. They're not going to be able to get a guy in here. So you got Homa, Finau, Fitzy. I think all these guys, if they stay 11, 12%, are gravy train. Wyndham Clark is obviously going to get love, because he's just been playing so well. He's so long off the tee. He's decently accurate to an extent, but he hits a lot of greens. But he can dial it back. Everybody lays up. Nobody actually ever really tries to just grip and rip and bomb and gouge this course. You can't do that out here. So with these guys in the 8K ranges, they're all interesting. Harmon's going to be massive chalk. and that people are talking him up. I mean, he's been so great, you know. I mean, winning the U.S. Open, and then or not U.S. Open, I'm sorry, the Open Championship, but then all those top 10 finishes leading up, and he's got a third place finish here last year. I mean, if you go over here to the combination stats here and go down the list, and I love this website. It's Golf Betting System. It's over our friends over across the pond put it together. So Steve Bamford, if you ever heard of him, he does podcasts for the Golf Betting System, and this is just basically the entire 10-year course history, and then your last 12 events that they've played recent form wise. So this goes to show you down here that Brian Harman, obviously with all these finishes, and he's got a third place here last year. So people are going to see that and just be all over him. I mean, I'm not going to say go out and fade the guy, especially if he is just 18%. I mean, if he was 38% like last week, had I really, in hindsight, noticed that Denny McCarthy was going to be 35, 40% in all these tournaments, I probably would have played a significantly less amount of him instead of having him be one of my highest exposed players. But I guess it worked out. Well, it didn't work out, but I mean, I guess it worked out logically. If a guy's going to be that high owned, you should double the field. So that's kind of what I did in that case. So anyway, a bunch of guys down here. Sam Burns played well last week. He's got decent history here. So I'm going to be more aggressive with my core, and I might even look to choose one or two guys to go all in on, or at least a ton. See, Denny's dropping. That's flop lag right there. I don't really know if I mean, 7,500 is a great price too for where he has been. He hasn't played here in a couple of years, but it was a WGC when he finished 12th, so he had the competition. So I think that he can bounce back from this. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. He had 20th last year and an 18th, so two good results. But his back-to-back missed cuts are very concerning. That missed cut on the number at Wyndham was disappointing to say the least, but he just didn't seem to have the approach game on. And if that's a problem, then he's a problem, because the approach game is super important here. So I am definitely, and one of my last main things is I am going to be a lot more conscious to ownership. So I will be looking to pivot off. I mean, Lucas Glover is going to be hard to pivot off of with his course history, and that newfound putter is legit, evidently, because he was just all over it last week. And the confidence that something like that gives you when you figure something out with a putter, he's got to be wondering, where have I been the last 5 years with this method? He got Adam Scott's putter, basically. He saw how Adam Scott improved his putting with the long putter. So he basically ordered the same putter with the same specs, watched YouTube videos on Adam Scott putting, and taught himself how to putt like Adam Scott. If that ain't the end all be all of people you want to follow with the flat stick. But it has definitely got him over the hump, because he's got two top 10 finishes, and the third one was the win last week. So what I'm thinking about doing as I jump around here is I'm going to open up DraftKings. Bear with me just 1 second. I had this open and I did not save it. So anyway, just a real quick jump off here. I do like these guys up top. Obviously, who wouldn't? But double stacking, and you don't necessarily have to do that. I think a guy, but I definitely, if you're going up to the top three, people are talking up Rahm, and he popped for me too. So I mean, I was on Rahm from the jump. So, you know, and obviously Xander and all these guys are ticking boxes and whatnot. But if you wanted to say do a double stack, like say I'll go Rom Hovland, then you can go all the way down here, and I got a couple of guys down low that I'm going to run with. One of which, or two of which, are 6K, and it's Sam Ryder and Mackenzie Hughes. Mike Hughes is just, if we go down here, I'm not 100% on the course history, but Ryder, I guess you can call that a made cut. Mike Hughes made cut, but these guys can score when they get hot, and Sam Ryder especially can score. He makes eagles out of nowhere, hole in ones. Go back to Phoenix a couple of years ago. So guys like that, high upside dudes that are way down here in price, are interesting to me. So what I would do is probably just pop in somebody like a Sam Ryder down here, and that gets you back in the mix a little bit more. Lee Hodges is another one. If maybe he's got lightning in a bottle and he can do it again, that can get you kind of back up. But this is the strategy I told you I probably won't be employing a lot of, but it does take an example. I mean, and then because you can get up in here and take a safe-ish guy like Corey Connors, and now you got 8,600, and you can get to Fitzpatrick, who's got great course history. So, or Wyndham Clark or whoever, right? Brian Harmon, you can eat that chalk, because these guys are going to be fairly lower owned. I think this could be kind of a chalky lineup, actually. I mean, Ryder and Hodges won't be highly owned just because they're the low 6K guys, but I imagine Connors, Hovland, and Rahm will all be owned. So that might not be the best route to take. But then again, you can go and say start with a Fitzy. And then, I want Hovland because he scores good DraftKings points. And Homa would be a low-key guy. Like I said, he's got the driver straightened out. He doesn't have great history here, though, which is worrisome. Sam Burns is another one I think is coming in good form. And then you can go down and maybe just take one guy down here where you would, say you take a Putnam, and now you got 7,900, and you can get in here to your Siwoos, your Glovers, your Benny Ons, any guys in here. So that's a couple of different routes you can take. So I need to get a better look at ownership. We haven't really concentrated too much, but like I said, this is going to change. It'll spread because, and I think the reason why is everybody's double stacking right to begin with. So they're not going to take Scotty Scheffler or one of these 11K guys and take a 10K guy, because you would have to start bottom feeding. So basically, you could start with the 10K guy and then just hope one of these guys don't win. And that's your best route to take. If you're going to build it, like say the balanced in scrubs, you can start with you could double stack Victor and Xander, and that puts you in a better mood, probably with the pricing. If I can get back over here. So you go say Hovland, Xander, and you're only 7,400. And then you go take that low-key guy like a Tom Hoagie or somebody down here. Now you're automatically back up to 7,800. And then you can start messing around with these guys. You can just load up on 7K guys and just do it old school style and just, take, anybody down here. You go Glover and you go Siwoo, and now you got 8,700 left. So like I said, you get your Fitzies and your Clarks and Decky or Harmon, whoever you want here. So that's kind of how I get down in that category. So all these guys, I think, will be somewhere between. Hatton's getting a little bit too much early steam for me. I don't think he's that dangerous a player to where you couldn't fade him if he hits 20%. Fleetwood, I think you need to find a bunch of these 8-9% guys, because they're just as likely. Jason Day, just as likely to show up out of nowhere. We haven't seen him in a few weeks, but guys like that. Hideki is just the scary. I didn't play him last week. He just scares me because when he just decides to. Of course, Wyndham was a good setup to do that. So because he knows the FedEx Cup playoffs are coming up, he says, I don't have my game. Maybe my neck's bothering me. Maybe it's not, but I'm bailing on the Wyndham. So I thought I'd be able to improve my position, but I can't. But I know I'm in anyway. So I'm outie. So I'll take the couple extra days to get, a back massage or whatever and get over to Memphis and start getting ready for this. So 8,400, if you go and look at, say, Decky's, excuse me, history, he's got a runner up 2 years ago. He's got nothing but made cuts. And he's a guy that people are probably majorly pissed at. So right there next to Harmon, 8,400 Hideki. People, we used to always say Tyler Tambolini, Toe Tag and Tambo, with off Mayo Media Network and Ship It Nation. Shout out to those guys. They know what they're talking about. But he used to say, I'm not playing Decky over 10K. Well, he's 8,400. He's not even 9K. So I'm going to have Decky this week because I think he can get after it. This is a course where it's been known that putting is not as important. Justin Thomas won it losing strokes. Brooks came right in behind him. He lost strokes. Guys don't need to gain 6 strokes putting at this event to win it. You just need to be dialed in with the irons. Well, that's Hideki Matsuyama for you. Oh, and I am going to flash up on the screen right now just to get it out of the way. Weather is going to be a factor. It looks like possibly Thursday a.m. that there is going to be thunderstorms and gusty winds. So we need to keep an eye on how the tee times are worked out. I haven't seen tee times yet, but with only 70 golfers, they may just go out in twosomes. Or they might adjust it for the weather. I don't know. Maybe they delay the tee times. Maybe they don't start till 10 o'clock. Then they go off on threes. Or, because if they want to avoid the weather and then get the Thursday round in, they can go off in threesomes and 1 and 10 and just cobble them all together into a 2-hour window. So we need to keep a close eye on the weather to see how it dictates the tee times. That said, we're going to get back over here. And I think I've relayed most of everything I'm looking at. But if I want to get down here a little bit more, like you could go Siwoo over Lucas Glover. It's not like Siwoo couldn't, get in there and outduel a guy like Lucas Glover. I mean, that's just going to be too. If he's over 20%, I'm okay fading him because I don't think he's just going to wreck shit up by any means. So Poston has been in really good form, another 7th place finish. So he's just been on a flat out roll lately. And is he down here in the 7,300 for a guy who can make the cut here and a guy who can flat out score when he gets going. So you can see all these finishes. So I don't know if the bottom's ready to fall out on him yet. So I'll have some interest in Poston. All these guys, Jaeger can score. They're all in really good form. Cam Davis has got good history here too. So all these guys, 9-10%, I'm going to just try to load up with at least 4 guys in this 9-10% range. And then I can get I can get one guy that might be chalky and maybe one guy that's super low owned. I want to try to get my ownership. If you add it all up, somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 85% total ownership. But you don't necessarily have to go that route with a total ownership. You need at least 2 guys, probably 3, that are going to be sub 12%, period. I think to have any kind of leverage. Like this whole range right here, love Killer Keith this week. If you saw him at the Wyndham, 3M, I'm sorry, he didn't play the Wyndham, but he played himself into a good position. 3M top 5. He's crushing it off the tee again. He's got the irons going. So this guy can flat out score and he can dial it back when he needs to. So a 5% Keith Mitchell is definitely on my radar. Aaron Rise, good flop leg. Taylor Moore can play anywhere, it seems like. So all these guys down here in this, this is another dead range probably because the people that played up top, like I said, and I'll get out of here really soon, so not to keep you too much longer. But guys are skipping this range because they have to get down here. That's basically how it is. You can see Brendan Todd's going to be massive chalk at 6,800. And that's 10, 11%. I'm okay with that, actually, as long as he doesn't get too much higher than that. but it's hard for guys down here this low to get played at all because there's just so many different players. I mean, you got Eric Cole. Detry looked really good last week, and that guy is deadly accurate off the tee. Uh, then you got Hubbard, who's been really disappointing people. So nobody's going to play him, right? And I wouldn't play him either. I don't think so. He missed the cut here last year. Lee Hodges, though, I mentioned how he just flat ran away with the 3M. He finished 13th here last year. So I am digging that. And I'll eat that 9% at 6,500. I don't mind it 9-10% in this range because there's only 70 golfers. So, you know, if there is pivots to be had, I'll find them. But as of right now, that's kind of where I'm standing. So I appreciate everybody joining me on today's show. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Leave a comment. Let me know how you think you might build your lineups this week, as well as who you think might win. So until the next video, thanks for watching. See you soon.